In 2013, the Stirlingster Coast Farmers Group undertook a survey of blackleg and sclerotinia fungal infections in local canola crops. These fungi impact canola productivity. The survey built on an earlier assessment, and the farms that were involved skirt the Stirling Range National Park and extend from Franklin River in the west to Boxwood Hill at the eastern end. Over a 4-week period, 114 paddocks across 36 farms were sampled to determine the levels of stem infections. In addition, any occurrences of the pathogen clubroot were to be noted. This video briefly outlines the approach used and the broad regional results. The survey was timed to coincide with the swathing of plant heads into windrows prior to harvesting. This is usually undertaken 8 to 10 days before the seeds are fully mature, when 40 to 60% of the seeds have changed from green to brown-black. The windrows made it easier to access the crop area so that cut stems could be gathered and examined. The blackleg fungus develops on the stubble of the previous year's canola crop, and triggered by autumn and winter rainfall produces large quantities of spores. The spores can be carried on the wind for many kilometres, and after they land on canola cotyledons and young leaves, lesions form. The fungus grows into the plant vascular system and eventually attacks the root crown, and may result in a canker that can sever the root from the stem. The survey therefore involved inspecting the root crown of randomly chosen stems from each target paddock. The other fungus, sclerotinia, can be observed when the canola stems adopt a fragile, white, papery texture. Small black granules, or sclerotia, inside the stem often confirm the presence of the fungus. Farmers provided a 6-year cropping history for each paddock, including the canola variety and what seed and planting treatments had been applied. This provided information for comparing results across the region. 22 canola varieties were encountered during the survey, and the dominant varieties were Hyola 404 and Crusher. After a paddock was selected, canola stems were collected at half a dozen sites to give a broad representation. 10 stems in a row were randomly chosen at each of the 6 locations. Stems were then cut at the root crown where it transitions into the above-ground stem, and the exposed cross-sections were examined for the presence of blackleg. The proportion of the cross-section affected by the fungus was rated visually. The estimate was assigned to one of half a dozen categories: 0%, 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100%. The number of stems in the sample that were infected by sclerotinia was also counted. The data for each paddock was recorded on a field pro forma and later entered into a database for analysis. Overall infection levels for blackleg fungus appeared to be relatively low in 2013. Yields are reduced when the blackleg stem infection reaches about 50%. In 2013, the highest levels were around 35%. The results showed that Crusher had the highest levels of infection, as it did in 2012. Hyola 404 had the lowest levels of blackleg. Sclerotinia has been around at low levels for decades, but in 2013 it took off in response to seasonal conditions and the build-up of inoculum in the tight rotations. There's no sound experimental basis for varietal differences in response to this disease. While Hyola 404 had one paddock with very high sclerotinia, it was also the most represented variety and therefore more likely to have an extreme result. If that one value is removed, Hyola 404 appears similar to other varieties. No incident of clubroot infection was observed in the surveyed paddocks. Landowners were provided with the detailed results for their paddocks and were able to compare these with the regional values. Yearly monitoring helps growers to better understand what factors are most relevant for managing the fungi. It also provides an opportunity to detect trends from year to year.